You're unmuted, Hiram. But I like the hum.
Mary Webster. Hi. I can't see the stage. I can only see you.
Okay, you can fix that on your computer. When you go up to the very top icons, you'll look over and there'll be a thing called View. And you can change it to
When I put it on gallery view, I see everybody. But when I have it on speaker view, I'm supposed to be seeing the stage and I'm seeing you.
So I think Ajahn is starting. And I think
So
when he
we'll
starts speaking,
begin.
it'll switch to him.
He started speaking and it hasn't switched.
Welcome everyone to a Saturday gathering. It's good to see everyone here. As many of you know, Ajahn Kovilo and I are on retreat these month and a half. So we're alternating which days we come in generally. And it's nice to have that seclusion, but also we both quite miss it when we're not here. It's pretty sweet getting to step back into this space. A few announcements. First, we'll need a mic to Bonnie and Christina, which brings us to our first point of business. We might need a mic runner.
We do need a mic runner, a young mic runner.
Milo? Yeah? Okay.
Do we have a mic runner?
Milo's a young, spry lad in the bloom of youth.
But we're looking for one on a more permanent basis.
Milo, can you commit to being a mic runner for
forever? Forever?
No, I think it's
yes, good.
Do we have a backup person interested in that as well? Okay. So we have mom for regular, and then we have a alternate. What's your name? I'm sorry. Charles. And Milo for today. Yeah, Milo will not be, just for today. We've got Milo for today, okay. Mom and Charles for regular. We'll have Milo today. You two can chat later. Thank you both.
Oh, thank you. I can check that off the list. We are also looking still for a photographer. And if you're interested at all, talk to Cheryl or Chia. Don't be intimidated. Don't think you need a lot of equipment. The smartphones nowadays take beautiful pictures. So if you have one of those and you're interested, please talk to them. We're still looking for Juanita's basket. It was lost at the Paba, and if someone has any idea where it might be, or if you can speak to other people that were there, that'd be great. I also had a bag of unfinished malas with string in it, and I placed it down on the table, and I went back and it was gone. So if anybody knows where that may be, just return it and I'll gladly restring it and we can give them out. In terms of the malas, as of today, 300 have been mailed out. And they've been mailed out across the world, except to Africa. I'm still waiting for somebody from Africa to ask for one. But they have been really a blessing to the people that have gotten them. Our funds to mail them has really been greatly depleted, to the point where we're thinking next month, if there isn't money there, we can't mail anything out. So if you are so inclined, many of us have received malas. There is a donation ability for you to donate online. It's on the Recitation of Refuge page. To mail an international one is almost $22. And Clear Mountain is committed to giving them away for free and not asking for shipping and handling. If you want to donate anything in cash, I'll gladly accept that today and make sure it gets to the right fund. I can't tell you how much these malas have meant to people. I'm still getting thank you letters back. Last is Tupperware and Lost and Found. If any of that is yours, take it today. If you want any of that that isn't yours but not taken by anybody, take it today, because it's all going to Value Village. So thanks.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I have a couple of volunteer positions to announce. First is our publicity steward team. It's been headed by Angela, Trenton, and Mark. And Mark is needing to step down at the end of the month. And it is really pivotal team. And it's pivotal that we have people, because it's quite a commitment and quite an important role, especially as we are searching for land and are hoping that that initiative moves forward before the end of the year. There's going to be a lot to keep people informed about. So if you have a PR background, a social media background, a writing background, and this is something that interests you, please come talk to me. Our PR team does a great job drafting our newsletters that go out every other month. They put together photo albums of all our great events. They handle our social media presence. So it is quite an involved role. It does require a bit of hourly commitment per month, but it's also a really important role that we are needing to fill at this time. So if anybody's interested in that, please come see me. And I can connect you with Trenton, Angela, and Mark for them to give you a little bit more detail about what they do behind the scenes. Additionally, this is for our Zoom crew. We are looking for another Zoom coffee hour host to help Mary, David, and John, who have been doing an excellent job facilitating. We are looking for another one to just sort of round out that crew so that we have an extra person that can take on some of those duties. So if there's anybody on Zoom today that's interested in taking on that responsibility, either message Mary, David, or John, or and they'll reach out to me, because there's I don't have everybody's email that's on Zoom. So if you're interested in that role, please email Mary, John, or David today. And then one more thing, sorry, there's a lot of announcements today. We also have a box in the back for St. Mark's. They offer this space freely to us and have been for several years. So if you're feeling inclined, please find their donation box in the back by the books on the table. And there's a Dhamma box for them too.
So Brianna had the idea for a way to mix up our sadhus by saying anumotana together, which means rejoicing in goodness. But how she suggested we do this is by having one person say and then everyone go namotana. Mila, would you lead the
Just,
namotana. All right, that's all right. We'll test it out. So just anumotana to first Christina and Bonnie, our community coordinators who do so much in terms of coordinating all these volunteers, Jeremy as well. And yeah, please do talk to Bonnie about the photography. We'll post a link to the Recitations of Refuge page into the chat for YouTube and Zoom, just so people can access that and help contribute if they want. Yeah, the publicity steward role really is key, and it will be especially so in terms of keeping this community's vision cohesive and including everyone around the world in that as we move forward. We're trying to create an international community, and that's absolutely pivotal. So please talk to Christina. And Zoom coffee hour is just great. You should definitely consider helping with that if you're interested. We're also joined today. Cynthia's back from a long time traveling, just embarrassing her a little bit. We also have Cliff and Yinyan's final, maybe final Saturday, or maybe they have one more before they leave. So just an Anjali of acknowledgement for those comings and goings. We'll chant together. Page 75 of the Amravati chanting book. If you're on Zoom, you can find the link in the chat. If you're on YouTube, there should be a link in the description. Page 75, verses on a shining night of prosperity. Some of you will remember this is the chant that Ayasuchitta was so struck by. Handamayam Badakarata Katayo Banamase Atitang Nanwagameya Napati Kanke Anagatang Yaditang Pahinang Tam Apatansha Anagatang. One should not revive the past, nor speculate on what's to come. The past is left behind, the future is unrealized. Pachupanan Shayodamang Tata Tata Vipasati Asanghirang Asangkupang Tangwidang Manhu Bruhaye. In every presently arisen state, there, just there, one clearly sees, unmoved, unagitated. Such insight is one's strength. Ajewa kichang atapang, kojanya maranang sue, nahi no sankarantena, mahasanena machuna. Ardently doing one's task today, tomorrow who knows death may come, facing the mighty hordes of death. Indeed, one cannot strike a deal. Ewang viharing ataping, ahoratang atanditang, tangwe badakaratoti, santo hachikate muni. To dwell with energy aroused, thus for a night of non-decline, that is a night of shining prosperity. So it was taught by the peaceful sage. So we'll meditate together, and we'll have a Q&A session today as well. So if questions come bubbling up during meditation, just there might be a chance for them. So set the body upright, drawing in the lower spine slightly so that it springs, allowing the vertebrae above to rest poised on top. Soften tension in the forehead, the eyes, the mouth and jaw. the belly. Just relax and allow the breath to begin coming naturally and slowly. And keep a gentle count of the breaths from 1 up till 10, just to keep awareness crisp. Just notice where you feel the breath the most. Might be down in the belly, in the heart, the tip of the nose. Just be aware of the sensation of the breath wherever your awareness naturally coalesces. You don't have to focus too narrowly or tightly, but as you keep a gentle count in the background, just generally aware of moving up towards 10 and then starting again. You can just allow the breath to become a centerpiece of your experience. Even if other memories and thoughts swirl around the edges. Just relax. You might find that the mind will want to move around the body slightly. Maybe initially it feels the breath low in the belly, a sense of groundedness. But then awareness wants to slowly rise up to around the heart after a time. It's okay to trust the mind to find its way. Your intention should just be to notice if there's a point of tension. Allow the mind to coalesce around that point of tension and relax it. And after it relaxes it, the mind will naturally come back to where it wants to be with the breath. Your intention is to relax tension and keep a gentle count. And you can trust the mind and the breath to lead you the rest of the way. Just remaining receptive. Notice any tensions in the face, the head. Allow them to relax. And more, what you may find is the breath begins to center somewhere between the heart and the nose. What they call the Hare Avatu, the home of the heart. If you forget the count, it's fine. You just need a gentle sense in the background of moving towards 10 and starting again. It just keeps awareness crisp. But your main intention is to relax tension and allow the mind to coalesce around where it naturally wants to follow the breath. Effectively, all you're doing is practicing the Four Noble Truths. You're noticing tension, dukkha, stress. You're letting go of its cause by allowing it to relax. The third noble truth, realizing peace. You're allowing the mind to come back to exactly where it wants to rest in a peaceful state of following the breath. And you remain there until the mind wants to move again. Releasing tension, savoring peace. If the mind is calmed, you now have access to a back door into metta. Take that gentle awareness around the heart and gently, like you're feeling for a pulse, move it up the central column of the front of the body, just to the right of the physical heart, just a bit above the physical heart. You should find there, waiting, a gentle, almost shy well of loving kindness, just a very gentle, intimate, human flavor of sweetness. See if you can gently find it. It's very delicate. And just touch that flavor of metta, loving kindness, compassion. You don't have to get things going with any images or words, just with that awareness softened by the breath. Touch that chord slightly above and to the right of the physical heart. Feel that gentle and intimate sense of care. So instead of the usual Dharma talk request, we'll just go into questions and answers actually. And if people just want to bring up whatever's in their minds or on their hearts this last week or has been coming up, then this is a good time to do it. You can raise your hand and Milo, our spry mic runner, will spring over to you. If you're on Zoom, you can raise your electronic hand and our AV crew will call on you.
Could you please talk about the role of emptiness in the Dharma?
Don't call on Stefan first. That's a good question. the time of a concept called Agi, which was the fire deity. And there's this idea that Agi pervades all of everything. And when something's lit on fire, it agitates and traps that energy into one agitated, burning flame. So that was the Buddhist simile for suffering, and for the suffering of the sense bases and other things is a fire clinging to fuel, burning it to ash, and we feed off the world and off the senses and off identity and off each other. And we turn, it kind of turns to ash and it burns. But when he talked about that fire going out, there's a sutta called the Vacchagotta Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 72, where Vacchagotta is saying, so what happens after an enlightened being becomes enlightened and passes away? And the Buddha says, this is not a valid question. What do you think, Vacchagotta? If you put out a flame, would it go to the north, south, east, or west? This does not apply, Lord. Even so, that form by which the Tathagata, the Buddha, could be reckoned, he is cut off at the root, made like a palmyra stump, deprived of the conditions for further existence. The Tathagata is deep, immeasurable, boundless like the ocean. And then he goes through the other different aggregates of identity. What's so significant there is first this idea that when the flame goes out, emptiness is not a cold nothing, that this agi pervades. And when the Buddha gave one simile for the enlightened mind, it was light that lands on nothing. But if you're talking about nibbana, a state completely beyond articulation, all you can really do is articulate it by what it's not. You know, you're empty of this, empty of suffering, empty of agitation, empty of self. But what you come to when you let go of those things is a state of utter well-being. And I think in that one sutta I referenced, the Buddha is really indicating that. He's saying it's the going out of a flame. But then he doesn't just end there. He also counterbalances that image of extinguishment with this image of deep, immeasurable like the ocean. The Tathagata is the emptiness of fire, but it's not nothing. It's deep, immeasurable, boundless like the ocean. So empty of self, filled with reality. You know, emptiness is not empty of, it's not nothing. The Buddhists talked about the nibbana element. And even before enlightenment, I feel like one can really get a sense of that. Just with this meditation we did, where you notice a tension and you release the tension. And then instead of the mind flailing inside some cold nothingness, actually you find the mind knows exactly where to settle. And there's a sense of fluidity and well-being and smoothness, like still flowing water. And receptivity and intimacy with experience. And for me, that's the same thing, is when you let go using the first noble truth, understanding dukkha, releasing its cause, tanha, what you step into is empty of that agitation. And the Buddha had a whole riff he went on with dukkha, suffering, a palpitation, an alienation, a disintegration, a dart, an arrow, cancer, a sickness. Let go, release it. And he said, bhikkhus, if I took all these twigs in this sal grove and burnt them, would you lament, oh, he was burning us? No, Lord. Why? Because they are twigs, they are not us. Even so, bhikkhus, whatever form you have attached to, whatever identity, relinquish it. It will be for your long-term well-being and benefit. So, yeah, in the earliest teachings, emptiness is specifically just emptiness of self. Just let go of that. It's also meditative attainment, but we aren't going to go into that right now. But I think just that simple understanding of like, it's this motion. Anatta is this much. You know, it's not that complicated. Let go when you see you're holding, let go. And, you know, initially the mind wants to grasp at something, but if you kind of hold there for a bit, then you find that, you know, that simile I've used a lot of, you find your hands filled with sunlight. And for me, that's the beauty of the Buddhist simile of the enlightened mind is light that lands on nothing. Empty space is not empty. So. Bonnie.
Can you speak to the difference between goodwill and metta, if there is a difference?
Yeah, there's maybe 3 terms in Pali, maybe 4 that just get translated every which way. Metta, goodwill, loving kindness, love, friendship, sankhara, so many different translations. I've heard it just translated as stuff. But so metta, one interesting way the Buddha, it can be translated as goodwill. And that's actually a pretty good translation because metta is the general orientation of the heart with friendliness towards other beings, yourself, towards experience. And then it changes to the other 3 flavors of the Brahma Viharas depending on what it meets. So when that sense of goodwill meets suffering, it turns into compassion. The sense of really meeting suffering, and it's a bright state. When it encounters something worth rejoicing in or feeling gratitude for, that's mudita. And that's a very good translation of mudita. And when it's tempered by wisdom, this sort of bird's eye view, that's where upekkha, equanimity, the 4th Brahma Vihara comes. And it's interesting because in the suttas, Brahma is often portrayed as having 4 faces. Or not in the suttas, but in later iconography. And I think of those 4 faces as the 4 faces of Brahma. So goodwill is a good translation, but it's also quite sterile. And I'd say that, really whatever kind of touches that flavor for you of opening the heart in that moment can be a go-to for that. Love might do it, loving kindness, friendliness, sometimes forgiveness, just the sense of listening. And I think that's really important. Metta is tricky because it's such a flashy practice. You want to kind of spray metta out. And often you have to remember all the Buddhist teachings are held in the context of the 4 Noble Truths: to understand dukkha, to let go of its cause, suffering, to realize cessation, peace, and to practice the path. And often when we're trying to spread metta outwards, we're forgetting that first noble truth of just understanding dukkha, standing under dukkha, feeling it. And sometimes dukkha is so strong, you can't kind of work with it. You have to let it work on you and kind of wash over you and wear away the sharp edges towards humility. And for me, that's the beauty of keeping metta somewhat vague, is different things will open the heart. There's a different key at different times. But I'd say very often that key is much more intimate and humble and personal than we think, which is why I think that breath meditation we just did, where you gently find, was anyone else able to find that small seed of gentle loving kindness in their chest? It's interesting because you can miss it if you're just sort of repeating phrases, but it's there and it's very intimate and humble and sensitive. So yeah, I'd say compassion, forgiveness, whatever opens that key. And very often that just is acknowledging and listening to our own suffering. Listening is one of the most profound acts of loving kindness one can do. And yeah, when one is angry, the temptation is to spread metta out, but very often the right motion is just to say, ow, it really hurts to be angry. This is really painful. And just having metta for yourself. So did that help at all or touch on some of it?
Goodwill, the term goodwill seems to be a little superficial.
Yeah.
That I think is what I was responding to, that metta is, to me, much deeper, unconditional. Yeah. Goodwill, I can just say, yeah, I wish you this. And there's not something to it.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think the phrase metta is flashed around a lot.
Yeah.
So that's what I was kind of referring to.
Yeah, and it's hard because keys are very specific. They have specific grooves and shape, and you need a key to get into a lock. But I think the reason people lean into these wide-ranging but kind of sterile definitions is because it encompasses all the realms of what that key can be any given moment, but it loses the ability to actually open the door, and that's a problem. So it's like the hunk of metal before you've narrowed it down. So a good placeholder, but then in every meditation, you need to take the key in, find out what word is resonating and get it shaped right, and then open.
Ajahn, I have a question about in the absence of dukkha, when we arrive to a space of peace, obviously everything is temporary, so dukkha may rise again. But sometimes when you arrive at that state, there's almost this fear of the other shoe dropping. So peace can feel almost, it can incite fear almost, because you're like, oh my gosh, when's the next wave of dukkha going to arrive? I wonder if you'd speak to that.
Anyone have that? Yeah, we've all been traumatized by life. Two things. One is, I would say, sometimes that's how the fear articulates itself, but often it's actually originating from something else, which is that, Ajahn Jeff says the last thing you can take from people is their suffering. And there's this beautiful line in this poem I know, the great strength it takes to walk away from a rock you've been pushing your whole life. And we know our own weight and shaped by our dukkha, by our depression, our angers. And when you even just the mental landscape about the breath, and if you find yourself in a state of calm, often it feels like stepping up onto a high mountaintop with thin air. And you just start, initially you're fine. And then you start flailing really fast. And yeah, I often, if I have a good meditation, I've mentioned this before, I'll be like, oh no, tomorrow's going to be terrible. Like, because your mind will find its way back to what it knows is solid, and that's its suffering. So in those moments where you do step into that airy place, I'd say two things, and this can even happen in the context of a meditation session. You find things are calm and you start to kind of scramble, like, what do I focus on? Where do I go? Am I going to just keep breathing? Is my leg okay? So what I find is you can go narrow and, like Hansel and Gretel, keep your finger on, actually they use breadcrumbs, so this doesn't work, but like a string of the breath. So come really narrow and find the breath. It'll have disappeared from its more coarse manifestation, but it's not gone. If you kind of narrow in and try to find it again, it's waiting there. It's just more pointy. It's more subtle. So find your way back to it and just keep a careful finger on it. Like you're just keeping and that often can be enough to orient the heart and get rid of the fear. It's like you have that string leading back home. The other route is to go wide. And it's like you've had this piece of paper filled with writing, and that's all the mental landscape and the stories. And suddenly the writing's all gone, and you're left with a blank piece of paper, which is a little intimidating and disorienting. And it feels like an emptiness, and that can initiate the scrambling. But what you don't realize is that that paper is extremely suggestible. And in the Anapanasati Sutta, it says that after you calm chitta sankhara, mental activity, you don't go straight to concentrating the mind. You become sensitive to the mind, and then you gladden the mind, and then you concentrate the mind. And that's really important, because what it means is when the mind gets calm, the first route may not be to like try to get rest in that calm, but actually brighten it. And it's like dropping a bead of gold dye on cloth. It's ready to take the dye. So if you drop in the word metta, love, or even bring up the idea of light, or find your way to that loving kindness in the heart, or smile a little bit, just a teeny bit, and find that pleasant Vedana, that love. Often if you do that once every 60 seconds, it'll make the mind luminous. And what was empty becomes a doorway for something enormously bright. And then the mind, there's no fear. It is completely willing to coalesce into concentration, but only because you've brightened that state first. So yeah, that's really good. And as to the other strategy, fear of the other shoe dropping. Yeah, just to know that what we just chanted, the one excellent night, one should not revive the past or speculate on what's to come. Here, just here, one truly sees every presently arisen state. Here's one's strength. One is invincible in that. And yeah, instead of trying to worry about the future, or in normal context of life, worry about the jealousy or the anger, just coming back again and again to mindfulness. The Buddha said, this is your domain of safety, always. I know this state, pain, fear. And time and again, you're stepping into the knowing. And Ajahn Sucitto says mindfulness is hovering 1 inch above the ground, but that 1 inch is everything. you can have burning hot coals, right? Okay, if they're really hot, that might not be enough, but just remembering always mindfulness, not just the body, but like painful feeling, contracted mind state, jealousy, fear, and you'll find there's a strength and solidity there. So one question before our next one, and then we have an exercise. Someone else can raise their hand in just a second. Actually, Charles could be next, but one question Dory brought up, or Charlie, sorry. Dory brought up, actually, I just said her name and I said I'd keep it anonymous. Never mind. It's all right. It's all right. We'll address it another time. Sorry, Dory. It was a good question. Charlie or Charles?
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to talk about and ask about a certain clumsiness that's been prevalent in my life that's been causing a lot of stress. So I'll give an example that just happened in this room. So when I'm not sure, what is your name?
Nice.
Matt. Oh. Matt? Yeah. When you were asking for a mic runner, you know, I thought like, oh, I should volunteer, but I'm not sure why, but I froze up. And by the time I unfroze myself, someone else had already volunteered. And so when he asked whether someone wanted to be a more permanent mic runner, I felt really bad about this like mistake, I guess, of freezing up when I should have volunteered, that I jumped at the opportunity to be a more permanent mic runner. And then later, just after that, I heard that they were also in need of a photographer. And I'm actually an amateur photographer. So and then I was like, oh crap, you know, now now I'm like committed to this, but I think it'd be better to do that, you know. And I mean, this is just one example, but it just happens all the time. Like sometimes I'm walking past someone and I'm not sure whether to greet them or not. I'm just like, what should I greet them? And then, you know, they look at me and I freeze up and I don't do anything and I keep walking and I'm like, oh, I should have greeted them. Or I'm doing a simple task and I just get all the steps mangled up. I was pruning my house plant the other day and I forgot to bring a bag for the cuttings. I realized I forgot to buy like dirt for the plants when I was at the nursery just earlier that day. Just a lot of small mistakes that they're not irreparable, and they're definitely, they're not life threatening or anything like that. But they are just they do cause stress, and they are kind of burdensome to myself and others. And I think they definitely show a lack of skill. Like if I was more skillful, I would navigate through life more smoothly and with less friction. And I'm not sure how to get beyond that, because to me, the natural solution is to think more steps ahead, to kind of analyze the situation more. But there's also this idea, you know, we just chanted this, you know, don't think about, you know, the future so much. And so I'm just not sure, you know, how to get past all this.
Thank you. It's Charlie, am I saying it right?
Charles.
Charles, okay, I did get it right the first time, sorry. I think a sense of humor is really good. And, you know, I think yes, you know, as you practice, if you can get those 20 minutes of meditation, that basic anchor at the beginning of your day of a sitting practice, that will help with mindfulness through the rest of the day. I think that's basic hygiene as practitioners. Even if your evening sit's a better sit, you still want those 20 minutes before you go into the day. And then I find little anchors throughout the day go a long way. Like if I'm feeling a lot of doubt in a social situation, or after these gatherings, if I'm kind of glued against the windshield of my eyes because I've just talked to so many people, often if I sort of go close my eyes for about 2 minutes and let the mind center, there's a reset that happens very quickly, actually. And I think giving yourself permission in the day to kind of do that, even regularly on the hour or something, setting an alarm if you need to, just like, okay, 2 minutes at the job, step away from the screen, close your eyes and just come back to center. When you're talking, if you can take, 51% of your awareness with your body a lot, if possible, that can help too. But I think more than all of that, my dad had a dream once where there was a bunch of people in a auditorium, and there's a bunch of little boxes on stage, and each stage has someone in the box with something wrong with them, either missing an arm or a leg or some injury. And all the people were fixated on the people on stage, trying to make them right, trying to fix whatever was wrong, just focusing. And in this dream, God, which we don't really have in Buddhism in the same way, but he was wandering through the crowd, trying to tell everyone that everything was just fine on stage. The people were just fine. But everyone was so fixated on fixing the people on stage that they didn't see God in their midst. And you want to hold that delicately because there is work to be done. We can be more mindful. But also, I think there's a really important message there about, I think there's a teacher who said, you're just fine the way you are, and there's room for improvement. But that also, yeah, like we can take these steps, but also there's a real place in the heart for just acknowledging that not only do we just have to make room for these silly creatures we are with our own faults and foibles, but that actually sometimes that's our greatest gift to the world. I've seen people go through the process of aging. There's a teacher at Abhayagiri who's, he kind of gives talks and just is very open about the process of his memory kind of becoming a bit more fuzzy. He's like, yeah, I forgot where I put my oatmeal this morning. It's a little strange. And there's something so disarming about even what you just did, like walking through your process, because we all mess up all the time. We're stumbling, clumsy creatures. And if someone's open about that, it's such a gift to everyone, I think, around them. And it might be the biggest gift you could possibly give, is being open about, kind of the little foibles, because they're all, generally quite insignificant and just, humorous in the end. So I'd say, yeah, a sense of humor, having a little skillful means to bring that up, being like, here's Charles again, like forgot to get the soil for the potted plant, sort of like a sitcom that you've watched before. And, you've got your responsible character, which is you some of the time, but then you've got your kind of the clown character who messes up sometimes and he adds spice to the show. And just like, oh, there's Charles again, something like that. You can come up with a different name for it, but some skillful means of like clicking yourself into that like smiling state of like, okay, here we are, it's fine. And I'd say, yeah, just, and being open with people about that process. Like, if I think people found it so disarming if, you come up to someone and say, I was thinking of saying hello, and then I got a little bit, I wasn't quite sure, but, why not? So I think there's a place to like push yourself into interactions are worthwhile, like volunteering for something is such a beautiful thing to do. And the fact that you did it, and for the record, we'd rather you be a photographer if you're willing. We've got other mic runners. But but also like if you do know actually talking to people and going up is something you have a hard time with, but is good for you, then yeah, just sort of making a bit of a determination, like, okay, when I'm on the edge, I'll do it, and trying to push yourself into that. But then also just making a lot of room to kind of smile at yourself when you have the foible, and being open with people about that, I think it's quite a gift when someone can be that humble. and open about their own process, it just is so disarming and everyone can relate. And there's this deep strength you sense in people doing that. So I'd say it might be one of your biggest gifts is being able to actually share that humility with people as well. Because yeah, I mean, we all do that all the time. How did that land, Charles?
I think it's kind of interesting. It's definitely like not what I was expecting. It's, I was expecting a solution, but
You won't get those here, Charles.
but I'm not sure. I guess like to me, I interpreted all these stumbles as a lack of skillfulness. And I thought that the path was all about overcoming that. And especially since, I only really ever make small mistakes nowadays, but I used to make big mistakes. And I think those actually really hurt people. And I feel like the current small mistakes that I'm making today are kind of a remnant of my previous character. So it's, to me, it sounds kind of a bit like disorienting to say like, oh, this is something that you should accept and play into. So I'm not quite sure what to make of it yet, but I'll let it sit, I think, for the next while.
Thank you. Yeah, there's the Buddha divides the Noble Eightfold Path into 3 sections often. Sila, virtue, which is like how you interact with the world. Samadhi, so like your emotional concentration, kind of the power of your mental states, and wisdom. So in terms of like the Sila aspect of restraining, yeah, I think you want to do as much as you can on that front. Like you don't, you want to be as mindful as you can. You want to get those 20 minutes of meditation in the morning to orient. When you notice you're scattered, you want to take a second to reorient through a brief sit. As much as you can, you lean into the sila, that aspect. With samadhi, really cultivating this ability to be in the body, to cultivate mindfulness. That's important. And then just a sense of loving kindness and self-forgiveness. But you can only go so far because no matter how good you get, you're still going to mess up a ton. Like it's just life, So for the remnant, for that other aspect, which still makes mistakes, it doesn't do any good just to beat yourself up too much. And there's a type of wisdom, the Buddha says, it's called laughing wisdom. And I think that's where you can bring in, that's where wisdom can come in, is it's like you do your best to be mindful, to not make those mistakes, but then with the inevitable remainder, which is our humanity, we're not perfect beings yet, then better to laugh at it, be open about it, be humble about it, than to, berate yourself about it, because that doesn't really help in the end, Does that make a little more sense? Yeah. Do as much as you can on the first 2, but then laughing wisdom for the rest, So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. We actually may have to switch to a different thing. I'm sorry, Hayden and Jory. So one of the fun things about these Q&As is that it gives us a little time to do an experiment. So everyone, see how this goes. This is a Frank Ostaseski exercise. So what we're going to do, if you are feeling shy, you can go, just feel free to kind of meditate in your chair. That's fine. And you can stay seated, and that will indicate to people that you're just interested in kind of staying on your own, or you can go on a little walk for about 15 minutes. But for those who are interested in trying this out, what we'll do is we'll have you pair up. And if you're on Zoom, we'll put you in breakout rooms of 2. If you get stuck with someone who's just meditating or not interested, or you're just uncomfortable, just exit the breakout room and join the group again. And either our AV crew can put you in another breakout with another partner if you want, or just let you sit and you can message them. If you're on YouTube, you can do this with someone who's next to you, or if you don't have anyone there with you, feel free just to journal a response to yourself, act as your own interlocutor. So what we're going to do is we're going to pair off, and then we're going to seed a question. And the question for today is, what is keeping you from living your true purpose? Wait. What is keeping you from living your true dharmic path? It's a little better. Purpose is a little, teleology in Buddhism get a little bit confusing. What is keeping you from living your true dharma path? Yeah, we'll go with that. So one person will ask the other person that. The other person will answer somewhat concisely. The first questioner will say, thank you, and ask it again. The second person will answer again, try to dig deeper, find something else to say about it. The interlocutor says, thank you, and asks it again, and they answer again. So you're digging deeper and deeper and deeper. And we'll have that first person ask the question for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. We'll read the room, maybe 4, and then we'll switch. And the person who is answering will become the questioner and turn the question on the other. And so that might be 8 or 10 minutes total for that. And then if we have time, we'll drop in another question too. So, Mom, yeah, please. I'll have you all switch. Yeah, keep going until I say something. Or if you're in a Zoom breakout room, we'll send a little announcement about the switch. Okay. How about this? If you don't want to do it, don't keep your video off. How about that? Okay, well, maybe 15 minutes. That's really funny. No one's run away quite yet, so that's good. We'll try this. We'll see how it goes. So stand up and pair off, and then you can start with the question, what is keeping you from living your true Dharma path right now? Switch. If you've been asking, you may start answering. If you've been answering, you may start asking. 5 more minutes. So we actually don't have time for a second question. So people can find their way back to their seats. If you're one of the survivors on Zoom, you can emerge from your last people standing. Into the wasteland that is Zoom post-breakout rooms. So how was that for people? Okay, good. So even a clap from Cynthia, I'll take it. And a dance. So maybe just let's just open up the space. And if people want to raise your hand or your electronic hand, if you're on Zoom, and just say what kind of came up for that exercise. Let's just process as a group what came up.
One of the things that I realized as we were asking each other the question, that there's an important word in here, that it's my Dharma path, and how, and it's Don's Dharma path, and how we define it. And it's not the one that someone else is laying out for us, but it's the ehipassiko, see for yourself, but also listening to teachers and Dharma friends and all of that. And so it's what's standing in the way of how I understand my Dharma path. And that was really a helpful, it kind of happened as we were sharing.
I think I just had a lot of joy that we were doing. I mean, we've done these for years at Sims. They called them dyads there. And just the layering that comes from the first ask of the question, and you realize how you live in normal life as with the surface answers, and then you find your way to the deeper answer. I just want to add, to make you maybe feel a little better, it's that when they would announce there was going to be dyads at Sims, at the break, like half of the room would leave. You know, so it was.
Thank you, Matt. I want to thank Juanita for volunteering me. Actually, it goes back to it takes great strength to walk away from the rock you've been pushing. So what is keeping me is a fear of happiness, because if I'm happy, I will be visible and then I'll be punished.
And then they ask you, What keep you fear and what you answer?
What did I say? My memory?
He said something, I never thought of it and come up to you. Yeah.
Yeah, it just hadn't occurred to me to make that connection back to my childhood. So, yeah.
Yeah, when you're partnered with 180, you might be seen. So it's good. It's a good thing. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you. I think Matt. Oh no, sorry. One over here. And if someone's on Zoom, we can take a. If there's anyone there, then that we can take one. Okay. Please.
An interesting takeaway from the exercise for my partner and I was that we found that as when we started, our answers were slightly dissimilar, but the more we repeated the question at each other, and the more we peeled away the layers, we saw that our answers became more similar, and we sort of got from the specific and maybe the idiosyncratic and the detailed to these sort of more coarse beliefs and emotions and feelings that were then behind the specificity. And it's like, oh, we actually have this in common. So my takeaway was that was inspiring.
Did anyone else have that experience of distilling down to a shared core? That's beautiful. Thank you. Oh, Tyler.
I think initially like when it was my turn to answer the questions, I really felt the mind inclined towards thinking about an answer. But I think that my partner and I created a space where it felt safe to like take a second if I needed to. And so then I was like really trying to listen for an answer. And I think that I came up with a few things that arose that sort of surprised me, which felt like, I don't know, it's like, oh, good. You know, I'm learning things. But it felt like because we had a good little bubble, it was safe to listen rather than to think of an answer that felt right. And I think that I felt things that felt more right.
Back there. We get 2 or 3 more. Oh, one on Zoom. Who is it on Zoom? Jay, please.
I thought it was interesting answering that question. It was a year ago that I was at a retreat, and I'm going to quit my job. I can make that work and just work on the dharmic path, so to speak. And I think, it's kind of, and I'm more or less kind of, implementing that and, spending more time to meditate and listen to talks. But what really resonated with me at the conclusion of it and talking to the other person, it was that, I think it was just, I'm latching on to some conservation efforts and it's just about nurturing something young. And I think, same thing with my granddaughters, but just noticing that I'm also trying to nurture this youthful kind of dharma in myself. And now I'm heading off to a 2-week retreat. So for the most part, it's just kind of that resolve to just do these things and just put that work in. But at the same time, just this tenderness that seems to be opening up.
Thank you. I think we have.
So yeah, just as the listener, I was so aware of that space you were talking about during the meditation. It's just, there's such an overwhelming feeling of tenderness and care for the person speaking. And you almost wouldn't expect that because it's just sort of the bonus of being a good, listening. Yeah.
Maybe one more over here. Thank you. Oh, I think if it's.
The reckoning with the fact that I can't do it alone. especially going through a lot of difficulty and when it feels like there's not a lot of people or support, and it's just impossible to I'm going through a lot of medical issues, so I can stay joyful, but then I need to keep working to find the answers that lead me to my path, because I know my path. I'm so privileged to know what my path is, but I can't reach it yet. And that's part of what brings me here. So I'm grateful.
Thank you. I think that is the time we have. There's a interesting, speaking about that space in the heart, and also about Tyler dropping from the head to the heart in the Mahaul Arada Sutta, the advice to Rahula. There's this part where the Buddha gives the 16 steps of breath meditation to his son, Rahula. But in the Chinese version, after the first 4 steps of becoming aware of the body, the only instruction is to breathe from the heart. That's it. And I've always found that there's some deep wisdom into tapping into the Hare Avatu, that heart space, and dropping into the heart space and listening from there. And the vulnerability, you know, yeah, I think healing takes place in relationship, and opening, you know, it's honestly, if Clear Mountain has kind of one special aspect, spark, I think something about that is having a space like this. And you see that again and again, like people who in so many contexts in the world would not, you know, might be brushed off or thought of as awkward or something. And here they actually have a chance to kind of blossom into something you would never, just the breadth of their wingspan, you know, as angels or whatever you want to call it, is just so beautiful if there's room for that. And I really just honor this community for creating that kind of space and for being able to do these dyads. And I don't think anyone ran away from the gym. So it's harder. The front foyer is completely blocked off, but still. So just anamotana everyone for sticking around. So a few things. One is, as many of you know, this is a completely free, monastics in our tradition don't touch money. We can't use money. Everything here is freely offered, including the books in the back. Please take some, or the food, which people lovingly brought. Please partake of that, and consider bringing some in the future as well if you want to give. We encourage the first person you speak to, if it can be someone you haven't spoken to before, that we would encourage that to avoid clickiness. And if you want to lead with that question, that'll keep certainly not small talk. So additionally, once again, if you are interested in being a photographer, talk to Bonnie. That's to you, Charles, if you want. No pressure though. Publicity, talk to Christina. Also interested in helping with donations. That's Bonnie, and Tupperware's in the back. Also, usually what we do is we invite people who have been here 3 times or less to just raise your hand so we can get to meet you, and just say your name and how you heard about us if you're feeling brave. Not too much pressure on this one. Please. How'd you hear about us, Josh? All right, Google. Good. Welcome, Josh. Mary Grace. Thank you, Mary Grace. Good. Yes, in the back. Welcome, Drew. What's your name? Jamie? And your friend Nate. That's the name of my sister is Jamie, and I'm Nate. So it's weird. The conqueror and your friend, gift of God. That's great. Good. Welcome. Oh, Welcome. We love Willa, Tanya, and Eliza. They're wonderful. Yes, thank you. People are pointing. Oh, please. Welcome, you too. Welcome, Morgan. Please. All right, Steve. Welcome, Charles. Yep. Welcome. Cloud Mountain's been very forgiving of us. We pretty much chose almost exactly their name, and the emails keep getting mixed up. So we like that they still are okay with us. Welcome. Okay, so today is our celebration day. As many of you know, we have a institution called Dessert Devas. And basically, once a month, we just like to acknowledge everyone whose birthday it will be this coming month of August. Is it August 1st today? Good. If your birthday was yesterday too, you can also come up. Or any other reason you have to celebrate. Juanita, please. Yeah. Good. Announcing the Sunday thing maybe, or? Okay, good. So if it's your birthday this coming month, or you have something else to celebrate, or your Yin Yin and Cliff, then if you can come up, just stand up if you're willing, and we'll line everyone up and celebrate. Like this. Matt's going to lead the charge because he's bold, a bold entrepreneuring young man who's 65. And if we can get one mic up here for them, that would be good. Yeah. Mic runner. Good, Milo. Okay, and so basically what we'll do, if you're on Zoom and you fit that criteria too of it being your birthday, you can raise your hand. It is 11:05. If people need to leave, we understand. But if you're willing to stick around with us, we'll just do this
I'm
quickly.
telling you, it's fine.
So if we can pass the mic down the line and basically just say when your birthday is and something you're grateful for this past year. And if you're celebrating something else, then if you would just mention that, that would be great. So, oh, and your name too. Yeah.
I'm Q. My birthday is August 8th. And I'm grateful for your reference to sunshine on an open hand. That really touched me today, and I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to this moment and the next.
I have four. This is a very auspicious month for me. 100 years ago, my mom born on August 12th. And then 63 years ago, I was born in this month, August 15. And this is a month that I first met Clear Mountains in Valentine Park, August 14. And then even more than that, I want my husband to announce it.
Okay, this.
Jeff announced it.
Yeah, this is the month that we got married on her birthday.
You can clap.
That was what, 39th anniversary coming up.
That's Jeff. I'm turning 65 on the 7th, and you can take a wild guess what I'm grateful for. I'm about to I'm retiring. And I still have one semester to teach, but I'm very grateful for that. And combined with that is I'm grateful to have this community to be kind of a at least a significant focus in my retirement, at least in the plan that that I have. So I'm sure I'd find other things to do, but I'm very happy to have, very grateful to have this a part of my retirement.
My name is Hayden, and my birthday is August 21st. And I'll be turning 65, which means I started Medicare yesterday. But also, you know, every day I walk along one of the park department boulevards, and it was, you know, built as a community effort over a century ago. And the sidewalks and the curbs and the trees and all of it, you know, were people who now are long gone, built that for themselves and for us. And now that, you know, now the trees are big and majestic, which they never would have been then. And, you know, somehow that's really just been penetrating me lately and just bringing me a sense of deep appreciation.
I do.
This is not hesitating out of a problem, but I'm going to break the chain for a moment. If anybody knows Dandelion, they left a package here last week that has a tracer in it. Oh, there you are. I have a package for you. But this month is the month of our wedding anniversary. We're not the first ones. Thank you. It's also this month. I made a really large mistake, and I set an appointment with somebody to stay here after our meeting on the day of our wedding anniversary, not noticing the date on the calendar that I was putting it into. And you can imagine the impact. But I'm glad to tell you that my wife, Peggy, tells me she is practicing patience. I am a very lucky man.
August 24th is when Yin Yin and I will be moving to Florida. Not exactly our first choice of a place to live. And we're going to miss Clear Mountain. Oh, I should also say, I wasn't here in July. July 3rd was my birthday. Can I get a little belated here? And now I want to give it to Yin Yin to talk about how grateful we are for the existence of Clear Mountain.
Yeah, I'm very upset about we're going to leave from here because I love to cook for everyone.
We love to eat too.
Yeah, thank you. And my birthday passed already on May 19th. But anyway, after we live in Florida, I'm going to Zoom and pray for everyone, have a happy life. Everyone will see you whenever we have time and say goodbye to everyone. Thank you.
My birthday is August 26th, turning 32. And I'm very grateful for a life of adversity. My health has been going downhill for the last 9 months, to the point where a month ago I actually died briefly. But that means that there's a lot of space to pursue the path and to pursue my path. So I'm very grateful for that experience and the rest of my great life.
My name is Josh, and I will also be turning 32 on the 25th. And I am very grateful to see the fruit of my practice just blossoming in my life every day, hour by hour. So, and I'm grateful to be here for my first time. Thank you guys for having me.
Anyone on Zoom? No? I think we cleared it out. Okay. It's one way to shorten the end. So just acknowledging there's so many individual people it would be worth kind of just having a sadhu just for you, but maybe just for everyone who spoke, just 3 big, hearty, caring sadhus. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And yeah, we'll miss you, Yin Yin, Cliff. Nitnoy made desserts for everyone, so you all can get some in the back as well. And sadhu Nitnoy. And then please just take a second to speak with one another, hug those who need a hug, and we'll just hold this community in this space for the next hour. If you're on Zoom, you can stick around for coffee hour. Those who want to can bow to the Buddha. All of you awkwardly standing can do what you want to do. No pressure, except as Matt says, the other 70 people bowing around you.